It's an intro.
Hey, viewers! Hi! Welcome to Encore. I'm George.
I'm Hudson.
I'm Cabot.
And here's our special guest, Wreck-It.
Wreck-It.
That didn't work.
We saw Wreck-It Ralph this night. That's why we're using night vision. Okay,
Yeah.
we've put correlates to it.
It's not because the light didn't work.
It's not because it's 10 p.m. It's because we saw Wreck-It Ralph.
It's because we saw Wreck-It Ralph, which apparently was a 2-hour movie as well. So, Wreck-It Ralph. Basically what happens is this guy called Wreck-It Ralph. Or Ralph Wreck-It. Wreck-It Ralph? Mr. Wreck-It Ralph?
Mr. Rook-It Ralph?
Please, call me Wreck-It Ralph Jr. Wreck-It Ralph was my father. That's one
You
thing
mean
never...
Felix Jr.?
That's one
Fix
thing
it, Felix Jr.?
I didn't understand. Why was he Junior? Is like there another game that came?
No. You want to know what happened to Senior? Fixed him. Good.
Okay, so what happens
doesn't
in
make sense.
Wreck-'em Ralph?
So what happens if you've never seen the trailer for it? Basically, Ralph,
if you've never seen the trailer
well,
for
no, because the trailer basically tells you what happens in the movie.
Basically, it's a game with a whole bunch of video
talk
game
about the
references.
It's a movie with a bunch of video.
It doesn't talk about the bugs, George.
So basically,
Why are you recording this?
Ralph is the bad guy in the game called Fix It Felix Jr. And
Restart the review!
anyway, so Ralph is the bad guy.
Okay, wait, we're restarting the review.
No, we've gone too far.
This is why your videos suck, George! It's because you put all of this in the review.
3, 2, 1.
Ralph is a bad guy, okay? And he's a bad guy in this arcade game. He's sick of being the bad guy, so he goes to other games to get a medal, to be a good guy, and shit gets to real because his arcade game's gonna close because he's not there. And then they have to go into this place called Sugar Rush where they have to save it and save the person who's a glitch, who originally wasn't a glitch, but then they find out this other person called Turbo was a bad guy and the blah, the boo, the boost.
What?
Game credits! There we go! That's the movie!
The movie was Wreck-It Ralph.
We saw Wreck-It Ralph.
You know what, actually?
I think that more or less sums it up.
Shh. Everyone shut up. Pause the video. Wait, no. Unpause the video now because I didn't tell you what to do when you pause the video.
They don't know this.
And if you pause the video at that point, you wouldn't hear all this.
So far, it's been good. So, personally, I thought the movie was good. I would say, like, it didn't feel like it was like any classic type of Disney type of thing. Like the way the story went, it kind of made me feel like this is kind of like weird. It feels like they're going for a new vibe type of thing. But there was a point where it's like you're just like, the emotions. You actually like got really invested in these characters.
Oh god, yeah.
Breaking the car.
Oh man, there was a point.
There were so many
when
points.
you really got into it. Like, but that's the thing. I felt like it was trying to be different, and then it kind of went back to the basics. And I thought like, man, that's kind of annoying. But then I was like, not really.
That's what we like.
I enjoyed it a lot because it brought some new stuff to the table, and also
It didn't trash
classics.
traditions.
Yeah.
What's I really liked is, next to everything, and the video game references, is the characters, they set them up so well that you actually get really attached to them, like Cabot said. So like when these emotional bits come, such as when he was wrecking the car, or, you know, when he was gonna go and sacrifice himself and shit.
Spoiler alert, but
This is Encore!
okay. First of all, my favorite bit is when he's falling down and he recites that
the bad guy motto.
the bad guy oath.
Whoa, you guys call it Encore because they're supposed to have already watched the video?
This is twice we've mentioned this now.
Yes.
But it's also where you can get it recommended, but you have to go in knowing that there's spoilers.
But when he's saying that oath, I actually started crying.
What oath?
The oath while he was
There was
falling.
a few tears. You got to hold them back.
I was like, oh my god, you guys
know
are
what?
trying so hard to make me
it's
cry.
like-
it's almost happening.
There was
This is Toy Story 3 all over again.
That was a weird thing because it was like when they said it at that meeting, I was like, oh, that's kind of a lame line. I thought it was funny, but it wasn't something. And then for some reason, it really pulled some emotional triggers. They were good at that.
Well, it's because in his hour when he thinks he's gonna die, he thinks back to that one meeting he had like that morning, and he just thinks,
Day ago,
what?
right?
A day ago, yes, the last day, and he just like thinks about, man, I'm not a bad guy.
I'm not a bad guy.
not.
Look at all this
I'm not
good
such a
stuff.
But I would have
I'm doing.
liked Turbo to be more well set up.
Yeah, that. Oh, like I do like.
Can I? Okay.
Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I just wish he had more backstory on why he was doing this other than jealousy. It just seemed like we never got to know Turbo as a character.
Well, that's a huge thing about a lot of Disney films is the bad guys' motivations just because, you know, they want to be the
They're
bad
evil.
guy. And they set them up.
They're
Like,
better. They're more. Usually, the more. Usually in a Disney movie that. This one didn't have songs, but in a lot of Disney movies they do have songs.
I was
right?
so disappointed. No.
But
I want a
there's
musical
always
number.
there's always the bad guy.
Mario. Mario.
Mario.
Here comes Bowser. Here comes Bowser.
I can fix it. Dun, 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 dun.
I can wreck it.
Alright, they're not some sort of rock band.
It's how musicals are shaking
Rocket
now.
Ralph.
I would have liked Turbo to be more set up.
Yeah,
That's my only
Turbo's
problem.
this bad guy. I don't think I said in the quick summary.
You said Turbo. You said the word Turbo, and then you
Okay.
started mumbling.
I got, you know what?
They're
Actually,
doing
I
perfect.
think what confused me. They tried to go for like two evil points. They had the aliens from another game that go into this game. The sugar,
Which are just they
Sugar
just
Rush.
kind of like
Well, yeah. It was good, and that was fine. But then they also had this turbo thing, and it was like
Well,
they kind of clashed, and then they kind of came together. And I thought that was nice, but for a while, it was like you kind of either got invested in one and the other, and I felt like the alien one just didn't apply until they.
yeah. She just disappeared
broke
for
out.
long periods
yeah,
of
that
time.
Yeah.
was weird. Where there was that sub story, and then it's like, okay, we're gonna just ignore that for about like half an hour and focus on Ralph and Sarah Silverman's
Yeah,
character.
I thought it was weird. The weird thing is those two characters got together, but it was like it was nice, and it was like you threw in a love story because it's Disney. But like, what was the point of that? It didn't really add anything. The character.
Well, it wasn't so much
Okay.
a
Fix It
story as
Felix.
it
Here's
Wait.
the thing. Fix It Felix was this character who was kind of put up on a pedestal. Like he was fine. He was doing well. They were having parties and stuff. And then you like give him more, and it's just like his character was nice enough that it worked, but it was kind of like you could have put something else in there in that time. But like it worked. I'm just saying like they could have.
It wasn't so much for Felix as it was for what's her face, the Hero Duty character,
Yeah.
who's like this
she was
very like hard-boiled kind of female, and it's like she hasn't really opened up to those like
Her
feminine feelings.
That voice actress is like one of my favorite though.
The person from Glee.
Yeah, well, that's not all she's from. The creepy guy walking by, we just had to walk the car a couple times. Anyways,
But what was I gonna say? I feel like there was
just tell us your feelings.
Tell us,
You
Hudson.
don't have to be a bad guy.
You
thanks.
well, not necessarily.
Okay,
a
here's
bad
what I'm
guy.
talking about. So in the context of time, it seemed like the arcade wasn't open for that long at all. It seemed like one game of this Hero's Duty was played, and then she kind of turned her back and was walking back, and Ralph was climbing the hill, and it's like game over.
Yeah, but like you kind of gotta let stuff like that go. It's just like it would be
Only one
boring
person
if you
played
literally
it.
sat through.
What?
Okay. Have you ever been in an arcade and you're watching someone play, maybe someone you know or someone you don't know, and it's just like you're so bad at this game, I hate you. I would not want to sit through that. Even if they're okay at this
That's
game,
why people
it's
watch
never
Let's
as
Plays.
much. It would be like watching like there was like a 20-minute break for Let's Plays by 7-year-olds.
Like a 20-minute break. So wait,
That should be an
game's
interesting
paused?
show.
The game's paused, so you're just
We
watching
gotta
a
find
pause
some
screen.
7-year-olds. Boot up the car.
So what? The game's paused, and
I
you're just
wasn't
watching
funny
like
enough
the
to leave
background stuff. No. So yeah, like everything worked. I think what we mentioned quite heavily is the characters really work, but the bad guys didn't really work.
Yeah.
It wasn't that they.
I didn't get the bugs motivation.
Yeah. No,
They're just programmed that way.
They were interesting. It was interesting, but it was like there was no.
Oh, everything was about how they're programmed and everything working together. Yet it's programmed to all work out.
Okay,
right?
here's it.
Well, no, because
You
It
were
seems
kind of
that-
invested.
What kind of dick? Okay, what kind of dick programmer programs Turbo with like jealousy for other games?
well, I don't think it was so much as a
Well, the
program as it was just something
personalities.
that because
Is Turbo a real
nature.
game?
His nature is his character is supposed to be the center of attention, but then when his attention gets stolen and he can physically see it, he does something about it.
But
to
they
get back
didn't. They
that.
didn't touch on that. They didn't touch on the fact that it's his programming that makes him so jealous.
You're supposed to pick it up considering they keep mentioning
But
it.
they could have made that
They mentioned
so
it once.
interesting. They could make that's a
That's
really
true. They
interesting
could have
thing.
emphasized on that point, but like with kids' movies, especially, you need to make them short and sweet and to the point. Because if your audience is kids, it can't
And
be so
yeah,
long,
there was like a
stretched out
whole
thing.
minute-long duty joke session.
Yeah, I gotta say, the writing for the jokes was definitely weak. The adult, like, if you didn't like video games, it wasn't one of those kids' movies you could go to and enjoy.
you want to? I'll argue that just saying like if you're a parent who takes your kid to this, you would probably find some enjoyment. Because I mean, there's no way everyone who was in the audience with us was either video game people or kids. There has to have been like adult or two who fucking didn't know.
That's what I'm saying.
And they still enjoyed it.
Well, I don't know.
How do you know they enjoyed it?
Yeah, that's what I'm
Because
saying.
I know these things.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're like an adult and you want to go see this, your kids want to go see this movie, I don't think you would
Get as much out of
enjoyment. This is something you send your older brother to do with the kids, the older brother to go do with the kids because maybe he plays video games or something like that.
But who says he'd be playing the kind of games that they kept mentioning? I mean, like how many times did they mention Call of Duty?
But it made references to all types of games.
Heroes Duty, actually.
Yeah, it was called Heroes Duty.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Poop face.
You called it Call of Duty.
I think it's general gaming. It kind of just applies to everything.
You know what I would have liked to see more of? The kind of stuff where there was graffiti in some of the stations, and there was actually video game references in those graffiti.
Yeah, like Leroy Jenkins.
Like Jenkins, and like there was other ones like No Griefing or something. And then
something I would have liked to just see like a little bit. I mean, they slightly touched on it a little bit, but like maybe emphasize it a little more is how the media of video games are slowly sort of changing. Like like how like older ones are slowly getting pushed off to the side, and these newer kids and whatnot are more interested in the newer stuff.
Well, they weren't really, were they? They still played Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah, but when you think about it,
you know what? That wasn't their message. They just made that a part of the story.
But I mean,
Wreck-It Ralph wasn't the most popular game out there, but it's just how it is.
But there's
the new game. The new games are popular, but the old games stay popular. That's just how the world is.
But I mean, like they looked like they were going to try and touch on that with like the fact that Qbert had his machine unplugged, mentioning that no one's playing a classic game like Qbert or anything like that. And there was focusing.
Well, that's implying that nobody's playing it, right? The game could have gone unplugged because it was glitchy, or maybe I don't know. Mm-hmm. Maybe some of those people were from Turbo's game or from the other game.
Hold on. This is my concern. How many young children are going to go unplugging things to see if they can find video game characters? Mom! Just like grabbing all these like electronic. No!
Don't unplug the Donkey Kong machine. My high score.
There's a fun world inside the extension cord if you plug it in.
I'm gonna find it. Did you unplug it first? I'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
That's how you get in. Let's plug ourselves in.
No, you gotta plug it in.
It's gonna kill children. 1 out of 10 because it's gonna kill children. I hate Wreck-It Ralph.
Okay, so I think overall it was a really good movie. You want to know, newer music was in it. I didn't mind it. That's usually a huge thing I hate about newer music being in these kind of movies, but I think it was pretty fitting. Shut Up and Drive, driving around shit.
Shut Up and Drive. That's just a good song.
It worked. 3D effects. This movie was in 3D.
Didn't really show up any.
Yeah. It wasn't very pop out and whatnot.
Well, that's the thing with 3D now. It's just something you throw on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just to make the tickets more expensive, really. That's all it felt like it was doing.
It looked nice, because I love how they define the background, the foreground with 3D.
That's true. I mean, if you're going to charge us more for 3D...
Can you do something with it?
Do something with it. Don't make
it a
pay...
purposeful.
Like,
maybe they did, and we just didn't notice it was that good.
Well,
I'm curious now.
That's the thing with 3D.
Was there
that's a whole other thing for another day. But like, basically, sum it up: 3D is just thrown in there for not a good enough reason to have 3D.
Okay, now quickly before we give our ratings, there was a short that was at the beginning of this movie called Paper Man.
Beautiful short. Oh my god, I'd watch that short just to go to the theater.
God, yeah, that was such a great short.
I loved it. I actually kind of liked it more than Wreck-It Ralph.
It was beautiful. It like I was saying on the
I like Wreck-It Ralph. But
it reminded me a little bit of the game Flower, how it was controlling the wind to like.
I just thought it was a beautiful scene when he kept throwing the paper airplane to hit the building, and they were scattered all over the street, and then I don't know. It seemed really cool.
It's good, and as we were saying, that's something Pixar does. I mean, but Disney doesn't do that very often.
So it was cool to see them put their hand in it. I was wondering which direction they were going to go.
Because Pixar didn't do the movie; it was just Disney.
Yeah. It was just Disney Animation Studios.
Yeah. Trying to prove that they still got the balls to do these kinds of things. Okay, so everyone's rating out of 10. Cabot, what would you give Wreck-It Ralph?
7.7 out of 10.
7.7 out of 10.
7.5 out of 10, and then 8 out of 10 for the paper.
Alright, okay. If he's gonna go 7.5, I'm going to his. Round it to 7.5.
I'm gonna say a 9 out of 10 because there are a few problems. I mean, if you start thinking about the movie a little more, it starts to question. You have to question it a little bit. But I mean,
it wasn't that
beyond
funny either. Like, it wasn't laughing out of my.
I mean, I was laughing at some of the really.
Alright, well, let him justify his score.
I was laughing at some of the jokes I wouldn't usually laugh at, and I was enjoying it. It tugged my heartstrings at certain points where it's supposed to. I just love. I would grab this movie when it comes out on DVD. That's how much I really liked it.
Okay.
All right.
So,
oh, there you go.
No, you can say something. You're never here.
I'm gonna wreck it! Ah!